Stella is someone who's comfortable where most people aren't, in the unknown. In this conversation, we explore how intuition, creativity, and lived experience shape her approach to innovation and leadership. It's thoughtful, honest, and deeply human. Stella, you have been a builder, a leader through a healing process, so many things in the past, let's call it 15 years or so. I'm curious, what is the common thread among everything that you've done?
Well, it's a mix of things. For once, I always have this feeling of knowing where to go. It's something that I sometimes cannot explain, but it's like a gut feeling that I understand what I have to do or where I have to go. And through all of my life, I didn't have specifically a plan or something. I only felt that was the right thing to do. And I always aligned that to my philosophy or my values, my vision in that. I think the common thread is I love creating things. I love creating impact also. I have discovered also that I love being part of a bigger thing. And even if I am not in the front of that, I love to have been part of something else. And recently to being able to impact like society or the way that people live is very powerful. And it's something that I discovered on the way. But yes, I think through all of that, being able to wake up every day and work on the things that you love is very fulfilling, and I am very lucky for that.
It sounds like intuition has guided you throughout your life. Is that true before your business life as well? Did you always have that sense that, you just followed what felt right?
Yeah. Most of my life decisions work that way. Since the beginning, since I decided to study graphic design, for example, it was because it connected to something that mattered to me. And I thought the best way to achieve that was through that career, for example. And even in my younger age, the people with whom I connected or the people that surrounded me was people that connect in maybe another level more profound. But yes, intuition is very important part of the way I do business even, and the way I take decisions. And of course, you have to have a plan and build everything around it. But if it doesn't feel right, I don't do it. Yeah.
Similarly, when you have that sort of intuition, just as often as you know when to follow something, you might also know when to stop something. Is that true for you?
Yes. I think, and recently it has been more prominent, that feeling that it's better to understand when to stop. It's also the philosophy that I have in every business connection that I do. If something that we're talking or maybe something that we're building together is not making sense for you, it's better to stop, to respect your time and respect the dreams that are behind what we are doing. I think it's better to stop at a specific time than to maybe have burn every resource, or in my case, even when you are working, if you have burnout, you cannot build anything else because you have to stop. So it's better. I adapt more to that philosophy. It was not always the way I worked, but now I am more mindful of my energy and the energy of the people around me and how to manage that. Mm-hmm.
You said in there that it wasn't always the way that you worked. Does that mean that there was an experience or a period of time that you didn't follow your intuition or didn't know when to stop?
I think I have always followed my intuition, but I think I also went very deep on the passion of what I was doing. And sometimes I forgot to look at myself. I am very oriented to other people. In some cases, my family, for example. I am a mother, so my son is also a part of that. My role as a partner and my role as a leader. And the difference is I didn't took myself as part of the equation. So I was the one that said, you have trouble, give it that to me, I will solve it, or I can solve that for you. And I keep putting things on my back, and that took a price on myself. But when you are, when you have to stop for real, because you don't have any other choice, you start to begin to understand that you have to take the decision before being unable to go forward. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it only takes once to overdo it to realize that you shouldn't do it anymore. Right?
Yeah. And is also, if I want people to depend on me, I have to be stronger and to be able to keep that role. I usually take the center of many things, and if I don't take care of myself, I cannot support anyone else. Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I really enjoyed reading in your bio and in our previous conversation was that you really lean into creativity in everything that you do. And I find it interesting because a lot of people don't necessarily attribute creativity as an aspect of business. It's more, they might think it's more science-based or whatever the case may be. How do you see those two things, business and creativity, going hand in hand?
Yeah, I believe in everything that I have done since the beginning. I have always had in my designer heart, and the heart of a designer is the heart of someone that creates. One of my favorite phrases is like, creativity is really a way to rebel in the way that things are. And it's in human nature to create things. We are always creating something, even if you are writing or if you are painting or if you are talking, you are the experience of creation is in human nature. So of course, when business is also part of human nature, creativity is part of it. And in my case, I have took the business of technology, and many people sees also technology, as you mentioned, as something more technical, engineering, mathematical. And it is. It is. You need those people in your team. For me, I felt in love with technology because I could create new stuff. When I discovered that, it was no way back. Technology was a way to enable new things, new ways of business, new ways of life, to change things. And that was what attracted me of being a graphic designer, and what attracted me of technology. And when I start building businesses, the beginning of the businesses is my favorite part. And actually, I have understand that from my role. My role is to open new things, to being able to pass from zero to something, and then prepare for maybe other teams to go ahead with that. So that's my favorite aspect of business. Mm-hmm.
What is it about that 0 to 1 stage when you're going from nothing to something that excites you? You know, I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs that feel similarly, and that's their favorite stage. And once it gets to the tipping point or whatever you want to call it in the business, where it can be maintained without that vision or whatever the case may be, then they're no longer interested. But for you, what does that look like?
I think the most exciting part is that you can create the rules of what will happen. I think that is very powerful. And it has been my story since the beginning, since I started doing graphic design in the company, which later would become the company where I get my partnership. I was the first designer, so I got to make the rules of how to work with graphic designers and developers. And it was very new in the business. And it was really exciting because it was new, because no one was saying to you how to do stuff. You can create new concepts and test them and see if they go right, or if maybe they need adjustments, because it's not always a win, but you can make something from that. And in business, it's the same thing. I love creating concepts and transform them from ideas to something more tangible. And sometimes that is through a business plan, or sometimes that is to creating the concept of a platform, or for example, for a startup, or creating the strategy on how to roll out. That for me is very, very exciting, is something that I love to do. And it is a risk that you're taking. And I don't know something else that moves the way that aspect of building gets to me. And I understand businesses need to scale it, and I love also to help businesses to scale. But it's always my favorite aspect of building a business is this first step or several steps you need to take. So later, something grows from there, and as you mentioned, someone else can manage it and take it on. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're kind of going in reverse order, but that's okay. I'm curious about this idea of innovation consultant. Mm-hmm. That's what you do now. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, I identify myself as innovation strategist.
Strategist.
Yeah, but it's innovation consultancy in the end. I got to that concept because I was fighting inside myself and with what society expects of a graduated from graphic design who now has experience in technology. So I always had like this problem, like identifying myself or defining myself more specifically. And when I had to present myself to the world and say, okay, this is what I am doing now, graphic design seems short. Technology consultancy seems also short in vision. And so I understand that all of this time, what I was building was strategy. And from that, you can build, startups, experience design, business strategy, even communication strategy. But it comes from the same part, from a part that you want to create something new. And that's something that is part of innovation, that is new. You want to create something that generates value, and you want to do it in a way that no one else is doing. So for me, that's the specific of the role. And that allows me to do many, many things, not only to stay in one lane. I can now work on, as I mentioned, startups, big companies, entrepreneurs, or work with methodologies. I want to write a book, for example. So now I can do it because I have this role that can cover everything that is interesting to me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it allows you to go from that 0 to 1 stage so much more frequently, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That is also why I did these adjustments in how I spend my time and energy, because I wanted to spend more energy on the things that excite me more than other stuff, which is also important and necessary. But if I have the choice and I can take it, well, I took it.
Clear.
Yes.
How do you choose to manage your time when you're working in your current role, right? As innovation strategist, I mean, there's, like you said, there's so many different opportunities that arise, and like determining, what deserves your attention and what's going to take it is probably pretty important for you.
Yeah. In this stage is a mix of strategy and what feels right. And also I have to be very conscious of my time and how I use it, because it's different to have a role as the leader of a company and having a role more in the consultancy aspect, because you only have the time of the day to solve the things that you have to work on. And you only have 2 hands, and you only have 1 mind. And so you have to be more selective in which projects you have to choose. But in my case, I choose, for example, things that will allow me to go always 2 steps up in the ladder. For example, I choose a project that maybe can be little in size, but I can communicate something from that, and maybe I can get a second or third client from the experience that I create through this project. So it is strategic for me to communicate that, but also what feels right. Because if not, I will not be able to put all my heart on it. And it's the only way I know how to work is to go full. So it needs to be something that aligns to my values and something that I want to create and to put my heart on that and my face, of course, because now everything has my stamp, my name, and it has to be worth it. Yeah.
One of the things that I really enjoyed reading about as well was that a lot of the things that you mentioned, you attribute a lot of the success to the people around you. And so curious about alignment, because now you're working with so many different people, not that you weren't before, but in the strategist side of things. And so what does it look like for you when you're determining who to partner with, who to have as a client? What does the value alignment look like? From a people perspective?
Yeah. I think I shape every relationship in the partnership aspect. Like my first partnership relationship, I was very blessed and lucky to get the partners that I had, that they invite me to be part of the thing that they were building. So I know every founder's story is different. And for me, the difference is that I was never alone. And imagine I am like 9 or 10 years old, younger than them. They have built something, and then came this girl, because I was a girl when I get to meet them, saying stuff that was very different for what they were doing. But they trust on me, they bet on me, of course, they give me opportunity, and I took it. And they have never let me down from there. So when I look for new partners, or when I see the opportunity of partnership, that's the only way I know of having a relationship, a business relationship, is with trust, transparency, and honesty. So those values are the things that I look for. And we have to have a win-win. Of course, we look for it. But if you don't have that base, everything starts to crumble. And it's not nice to have someone that you are working with that you have to take care of. You cannot work with an enemy or someone that you don't trust. So trust is a basic thing. And yeah, again, gut feeling, I felt that something can be good, and I give it a try. I trust the person. And in my customers or clients, what I look for is that they want, the first step is wanting, even if they don't trust me yet, that they are open to listen to what I am telling to them, that they are open to get feedback, and that they are giving me feedback. That is the best way to do an alignment, is to listen to the both sides. And with clients, that's the only way that I know how to work also. If I am the only one saying this is what has to be done, maybe I'm taking them to a cliff, and they are the experts on what they are doing. So I have to listen to them. But also, if we are going to the unknown and they don't know how to do it, they have to listen to me, because the unknown is the place that I know best. I can take them to there and then go through a better place when we finish them. So that is how I usually work in that aspect. Mm-hmm.
You said two things that are really interesting in there. The first one is that they have to be willing to give you feedback, which I think is really, really, really beautiful. A lot of people forget that obviously a relationship is give and take. And so especially in a leadership role, when you're dealing with people, there has to be that give and take, and they have to feel comfortable giving you feedback just as you do them.
Yes.
Second one is you feel comfortable rather in the unknown.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
I have noticed, because this is something that I didn't knew like 15 years ago, but now I understand that I thrive when we have adversity, and that the best projects that I have worked on are the ones that came after chaos or after the uncertainty. Our best years in our company are coming after the pandemic. And the same for me. I feel the most fulfilled right now after several hard things had happened. So even now, I can tell you that what I am doing is a work in progress, but I love that it is a work in progress because it gives me the opportunity of keep testing and adapting and adjusting. So yeah, that's what I'm always saying. And I don't know if you have noticed or if anyone that is listening to us have noticed, but this has been a year of changes. I have noticed them everywhere. And for many people, that is scary. And for me, that is opportunity. And of course, I feel fear and nervousness and all of that, but I go through that. That's the difference. And I use that as something that keeps pushing me forward to get to the next thing. So yeah, that's why I say that. I understand that is the place where I feel more comfortable when I don't know most of the things that are going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. I think a lot of people like the terminology or the analogy they use is lean into the uncomfortable is where the growth happens. For you, it might be lean into the comfortable because you're comfortable in those uncomfortable spots.
In a way. And most of the times I have to take people with me, because when people are looking either for my consultancy or for the company that we founded, they are looking for someone that is like a champion and that they can take them to the journey. And actually one of our services is called Innovation Journey, just because of that, because it is a journey, it's very different every time. And we always say that analogy that is like when they were discovering the world and they didn't know what they will discover, but you took the best people with you to the unknown, and they were able to adapt, and they were able to maybe read a map and maybe see mountains and say, hey, here is the way. That's the same for us. And for me, especially, that is an aspect that I thrive on and is very natural to me. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So bouncing around you leave your hometown, you come to Monterrey, you study design, and then you fall in love with tech. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Yeah. Okay. That's the order.
What about tech at that time really enthralled you? What excited you about it?
I think it was also a very important time in tech, and it aligned with the moment that I got to know those concepts. So, and it also aligned with me meeting the people that will be my partners and my friends. And so it was an alignment of many things. That's why I say I knew I had to stay there. And when I started working in this company, I was 21, and I was still studying in the university. And I remember going to the interviews, and I was looking for a job opportunity because I wanted income, more income. And they say, well, we don't have that to give to you. These are something that you can do as a student and you can learn, and like an internship. And I was like, well, I'm looking for this. Thank you for the opportunity. But when I came out, I was going home, and I remember going in the bus and thinking all the things that they told me in the interview that they were trying to do. They were working with this new thing that they were called apps, which I didn't have a smartphone at that time. So what was that? I was so disconnected of technology at that moment that I didn't know Steve Jobs or anything that was happening with Apple. So I think it was a really important moment. I'm talking here 2011. So it was a year later from the launch or 2 years later of the launch of the iPhone. And suddenly, when I remember calling my interviewer and say, hey, actually, I want to go with you. I want to take the opportunity. I feel you have something that I have never seen before, and I wanted to be part of it. And so from that moment, every day that I went to work was something new, something that I didn't knew before. Even in graphic design, which was the thing that I was working on, there were very little rules around that. So the creativity opportunity was huge at the time. And it was my first time working with developers. I had also never had that experience. And so I started to get to know them and how they think and how was their working process and also their creativity process. They also have one in what they are building, and I connect with that. And when I saw they celebrated because a line of code worked and something happened on the screen, I was also very excited for that. So that is the part when I connected with technology. Actually, I don't consider myself very technology. I'm not very in full for the trends. I take a little more time in adapting to trends, but I took that as an advantage because I understand what other people are feeling when they want to adapt to new technologies or new things. And so I connected with the power of creating something. And it was my very first time and experience to having that. And then comparing to everything that everyone else was doing, we were doing something really unique. And at that time, there was close to none other company that was doing the same things. So again, it was an alignment of the moment, of the technology boom that was at that time. The players at that time, as I mentioned, I started following people like Steve Jobs, and which was very hard on creativity and changing the world and everything. And also the alignment of the company that I went to, the leadership, the culture, the people. It was a very, very beautiful moment in my life. And since then, I is the only thing that I want to do is to work around that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Amazing. And that continued to flow into 10 odd businesses that you started afterwards with partners, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's talk about your vision into AR and VR. Mm-hmm. I know the Asteria, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. When did you first get exposed to these technologies specifically, and what gap did you see that they weren't currently filling that you knew you could?
Yeah, I have to mention before going through that the way that I have always worked is, as you mentioned, in partnership and surrounded by people. So for me, the first time I experienced that was because my partner had the vision of the technology. And so the way that it always worked is he was always looking many years in the future and looking for things that may happen. Not all of the things happen, but most of the things that he envisioned happened. And my role was mostly at that time as the CEO was how to take that vision and turn it to reality. So my first time experiencing that was in that way. We were working we were looking to create, I remember now, we were looking to create an innovation center for a company, a hospital. And we sold the idea to the hospital that instead of building more hospitals, they should build health tech products. And so my partner took that technology, and when I experienced that, it was another change in the way that I saw things, because if someone has not experienced virtual reality or augmented reality, is a thing that happens in the movies. I always compare it to the Iron Man movie when he is building the I think it was a gun, and he was being Jarvis. He was working with Jarvis building the suit. Is how to put something else on the reality that you're living, and that blew my mind. At the same time that we were working with health, we did like divergence. He went more to the health aspect, and I went more to the experience aspect. So when you were talking about Asteria is more focused on the experience around technology. So we start with the experience and then we get to the technology. So augmented reality and virtual reality are technologies that are very successful in creating new experiences because they help other senses to adapt to the message that a company, a brand, or that you want to share with them in a very immersive way. And so we built the brand around it. But again, always, if everything that we did with Sky Group is more focused on the technology and the vision, the future, Asteria is more focused, on the experience, how people is feeling, what they are feeling, what do you want to achieve, and then choose what technology is best for that. Mm-hmm. And what we say is we empower companies through technology. That's the idea of Asteria. And naturally, because of that, we were more in the tourism or hospitality industries, or marketing, for example, works more for Asteria, and Sky Group is more in the really hard technology-based projects. So that's the difference in approaches. Mm-hmm.
Cool. For those who might not be able to visualize what that looks like, let's say can you give an example, maybe in hospitality or something like that, maybe a project that you consulted on or something? How do you enable people through technology? What do they not know?
Yeah. Well, for example, I can talk not only about augmented reality and virtual reality. For example, AI right now is really another thing that gives an extra layer to the experience in a way that we're adapting to that, but it's still very new for many people. And it accelerated the way that we can communicate with others. Of course, we can skip. There is a lot of stuff going on, maybe not so positive about the trend. But for example, for the hospitality industries and tourism, we chose to include it in a project that is going on here in Monterrey. And I work directly with that project, which is a new version of a platform that is called Pasaporte or Passport for Nuevo León. So when we are taping this, is not the football cup yet, but it will come in 2026. And so we are preparing in every aspect. And Passport Nuevo León is a platform that will include AI to create intuitive and personalized itineraries for every visitor to the city. So before that, the comparison that I came in, how it changed the experience. Before that, you have to look for what you want to do. So now the idea is that we give it to you. So we can understand that you are coming maybe with your friends or with your family or maybe with a partner, and it's very different experience. Even if you are the same person, you want different experiences if you come with your friends or with your son or with your girlfriend or partner. It's very different experiences. So we took that and we also match it with what we offer in the city. Everything that you want to consume in Nuevo León and Monterrey is through that platform in the tourism experience. And so the way that we created also the app using AI, it's very different to what many other platforms are doing. Right now, the trend is using a chat. And so many people like that, but others say, I don't want to keep typing what I want. So the idea was to create a way to navigate the app without having to make clicks. If you only need something, we put it. So we call that a contextual design. So if it's the middle of the day, and we know that you went maybe to a park or you do a walk and it's the middle of the day, we know that maybe you're hungry. So we start to show you, okay, these are some restaurants that maybe some are near from where you are, or maybe some are near from the next stop that you are doing. And this is how you have to go. And that is also a way to enhance the experience in a very different way that others are doing now. So it would be great when everyone is able to experience it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It sounds like intuitive design, right? It knows what you want and it's kind of showing it to you. When in 2026? When in 2026 is that?
We are launching it at the end of this year, and we have to have it ready before the games that we will have and the visitors that will come. And of course, it will be available for everyone. So hopefully in December of this year, it is available for everyone. And it would be the new way of interacting with the city, which is also another thing that we love about technology. It is a way to connect with something that is very near to you, which is your smartphone. And it is a way for the city to talk to you without the typical, the typical process of maybe having a phone or looking for information. Now we can talk to you and speak your language.
Awesome. You mentioned in there kind of the fact that there is a dark side or a not so good side of AI. So I want to hear what that means to you, and also, I mean, maybe related is also kind of the privacy element of these kind of technologies and that sort of thing, and how you think about those.
Well, I will start with the last because I think is more simple. You have a privacy aspect, and many people is looking to implement AI in their companies, but they don't really know how or why they have to do it. And so we also have a boom of companies that say, I can do it for you. And they are risking confidential information because they don't understand how the information is going around. One time of the last month, I went to a meeting, and there were technology companies, and they were saying, like, if you tell to ChatGPT not to record your conversations, it will stop. And I was like, what is making them stop? Because you say it? They can ignore that. No, but it is in the privacy settings. Okay, but do you trust those privacy settings? Because that is only something that is written on a page that you accept. Well, of course, OpenAI is a more serious company now, but they are booming also many other companies that promise that this is faster or this is cheaper. So you have to be careful. We call that sniffing, that they can sniff every conversation that you have. And if you really don't want that to be out, don't put it there. And it's the same recommendation that I would make if you use WhatsApp or if you use social media, or it's the same, because it is also something that can happen there. So that's the aspect. If you are trying to do something in AI, look for someone that understands this and that can assure you to make a strategy around how to implement it in a way that works for you, or to be very honest to tell you you don't need it, or you don't need it in that way, or that will never work for you, because of course also that has a cost, and many companies don't understand the cost of AI. So that was one question. And the other one, there are many negative aspects of what is happening as any technology. So I don't want to scare anyone. We need to know these aspects more to understand what we want to do with that. And something that I think keeps popping in the news is like, AI made this guy do that. AI is not doing or making anyone do anything. We are doing it. So what we can do is to understand that and adapt ourselves or adjust ourselves. And of course, if someone that is listening works in a tech company, you can do something to adapt the AI, right? But the users, or what we are getting exposed, our families, our kids. My mom, for example, sometimes gets information, and I have to make her stop. Hey, anything that you receive on your phone can be AI or generated, or can be false. So I don't know if you know this, but in Mexico, we are the most scammed country from America because of that, because we trust a lot. So it's helping people learn that you have to have critical thinking and to doubt maybe a little or maybe a lot of what you are receiving. If we are not speaking face to face, maybe doubt it. And more personally for me, the thing that I always had an issue with was, how do we manage knowledge? I think that is another aspect of creativity, how we build stuff. We build on top of the knowledge that other generations gave to us. What happens if we lost that? What happens if every search that you do now on the internet, which is of course a magnificent tool, but now is AI generated. And the thing with AI right now is that we are calling it AI, which is not. ChatGPT and all of this is not specifically AI. They are only taking information and giving it to you in language mode or in speaking mode. But we're mistaking that for intelligence or rational thinking. And in that aspect, AI keeps in the generality. So that is making that we are not going through the specifics or to the uniques, the nuances, the differences. And as for now, that is only things that we as humans can do. So for me, that is the aspect that I am most scared of, because now that I look something on the internet and found the same text in several sites, blogs, or things that sometimes are more scientific studies, you begin to wonder if that came from the same AI motor. And that, I think, is the saddest part of it. Apart from, of course, everything, and I don't want to be not sensible about things that had happened in the world with AI, but I believe that if we have more schools teaching critical thinking and how to exalt our human nature, we will not have problems with AI, because we will be able to make those decisions. And yes, I have more affinity with that type of problem, because I think in the future and what my son is going to learn in the future. And I want him to understand the world. And that is what scares me the most, the knowledge. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the critical thinking element is crucial, right? If we start to rely on these platforms or bots or whatever the case may be, and they're just regurgitating old knowledge or whatever, then there's really no innovation then at that point, right? It's just regurgitation of the past.
Yeah, and it will be only general ideas of things. There is a story that someone told me, and I think it helps us understand the impact that it can have, where this person had a friend who lost someone near to them, and he wanted to write something, and he didn't want to make a bad text or send something that is unthoughtful. So he went to the AI motor and he writes something, and he copied that and put it on their conversation with his friend. And then his friend answered, and he knew his friend was someone with little words, more on the inside aspect, more like thank you, and that's it. But he responded with a very big text, very well formed. And so he thought, so if I did this to say to him, I'm sorry, this that I am receiving and that is making me feel good, what he's telling me, is not from him. Maybe it's from the same platform. So then what's the point of it? We can put the AI to talk to one another and to solve things, and we are losing that touch of communication. And I don't want to say I use these platforms. They are actually helping me to give better consultancy. And I read an article that for experts in a field, AI is making them to being able to do more. But for people who are trying to learn or to become experts, they are separating them because they are not learning anything. They are keeping on the generalities, on the same things. They are repeating the same things. And that is the thing that we can lose. We can lose the power of creation, which is something that I love.
Yeah, it really is fascinating. And I think, there's a lot of people talking about how they're intentionally making grammar mistakes or whatever the case may be, so that there is that element of creation. People know that it's real. People know that it's actually an individual. Going back to our earlier conversations about being human and creating from scratch, right? So.
Yeah. One time I was talking with my partner Gustavo. He is very into technology, as I mentioned. He's more like looking to the future. And what we usually make this thing that we argue both parts of something. And he was more of, why can AI be like a human? And at the moment that he asked me that, I didn't have an answer. And one day I remember it was late, I was driving, and I said to him, instinct and intuition is something that it cannot be replicated. To have a mistake and find something new. How many discoveries have not been for a mistake or something that didn't need to happen? To being able to maybe divert from the path as we were doing. AI is perfect. When you divert, maybe you also find something, or maybe it gives you the knowledge to then come back and do it better. Our intuition, as we have spoke in this conversation, all of those stuff, things make random things happen. And when you ask AI to do random, even to different AIs, they usually end in the same results. They don't random that well.
They don't know what that is.
Yeah, and if you go and ask 100 people the same question, maybe you can have 100 different answers. So that's important.
Yeah, definitely. Throughout your career, you've accumulated a lot of accolades and recognition for your work, including UI Entrepreneur of the Year and Best National Businesswoman and several others. I'm curious what those mean to you. What do those actually mean to you?
Yeah. I have always had trouble answering that because I never did the things that I did for a prize. I usually tend to not to know how to manage attention in that aspect. What I have learned from that is that, first of all, there is always someone watching you, that you mean something to that person, and they get inspired from you. And I accepted that when people, and mostly girls or women, came to me and say to me, I admire what you are doing. And as I said, I felt sometimes uncomfortable, but then I understand that I help them in maybe an aspect of their life just by doing what I was doing. So I came to terms of that. The other thing is that it does help me to be more sure that I am doing something right. When you get recognition of someone else, and companies as important as I mentioned you, EY, Ernst & Young, and I mentioned this week, it gives you the certainty of something that you already know, but somehow when you hear it from someone else, it makes it more real. So most of the times as an entrepreneur, you are giving yourself like, hey, go ahead. And you have many days of doubts. And I always share with my colleagues that many times when I was in the office, I have a difficult day. I went to the bathroom, maybe cried a little, and then get out back to work with a smile because we have a meeting or something. Mm-hmm. And so these moments of recognition help to understand that someone else is looking at you and saying, you're doing something right. And for example, when I received the National Award for Businesswoman, it was surprising. I didn't knew that was coming. And I felt very blessed. And it helped me to say to myself, I am an entrepreneur, because before that I was more like, I'm working. And yes, I am an entrepreneur. It's part of my life. And when I took the conscious of that, I changed a lot of how I was presenting to the world and how I was defining myself. So that helps. Mm-hmm.
You mentioned specifically it meant a lot for you too, for young women and well, women in general, to approach you too for that. Why is that important?
I understand that I live in an era where I can work, being a mom, and have the support of my husband, my family. I understand that that was not the case before. I can see it also. My mom is a working mom, and I saw the struggles that she had. I am the firstborn, so she was learning with me many times. I understand that now that I am a mom, that she was learning. And so it is important because I think that if she was younger and she had the opportunity, she would have taken it. And maybe I can make something to help other women or even men to achieve what they are looking for. And for me, that is something that's really important. And that is why teaching is part of what I do. Not only as I am a teacher, actually, I teach in a university, but also to teach others to being able to be a better version of themselves and to achieve what they are looking for. And sometimes I do it in a conscious way, and sometimes I get surprised later in years when they tell me, when you say that, it was important for me and it made a change. So even though I know I'm not that old, I have had lots of those experiences. And so I understand that I need to keep doing this, also as a way to make an example. And yeah, of course, I also want my son to be proud of me when he's older. And my mom to say, hey, you made it, and maybe to reflect on me a little.
In 2023, you went through a health experience, cancer. Can you talk about that experience and how it affected everything that you were doing then, and since that experience, what has changed?
Yeah, I think it was hard, the way of getting to know or getting diagnosed. It was hard. It was a process of 1 year. So the whole 2023 was the process of understanding what was happening to me. So a lot of unknown was going on. At the same time, it was hard. The news, it was really hard. I can tell you exactly where I was, how was I standing, what was I going to eat, the music, when I received the news that I had cancer and that they need to make a surgery on my lung. So I was very lucky. I was very lucky, and I am lucky to be here speaking to you. I am well. I also don't like many dramatics, so people that are watching, I am well. I was very lucky. I was very blessed. We took it really early in the stage, but the uncertainty all of the year was really hard, not only on me, but on my family, my husband, who was always by my side, and also my partners, my friends. They took a lot of that because I became absent when I was always around. So it was hard in those aspects. How it changed me, I spoke a little about it. I was forced to stop and rethink where I was going. And so thankfully, the cancer that I had was a complication of an ectopic pregnancy. So thankfully, it was like that. But the emotional aspect of it, I was looking for this pregnancy, for a second child, which is now a plan that I no longer have. So we started with very good news, and then uncertainty, and then fear. The process of terminating the pregnancy was really hard. Then they didn't, when they did the surgery, they didn't find the pregnancy. So for a little time was like uncertainty. And then by November of that year, they told me it was on my lung. So the moment that I received those news, I really thought I could die. I cannot say it in any other way. I really thought I could die. I remember talking to my husband and saying, well, if it's somewhere here, take it out. Or if you have to cut something, take it out. But when they told me it's your lung, okay, I think that is an important organ. It's not that easy to take it out. But thankfully, we did the process. And I had to work with fear by my side. And I remember having two of the most important talks of my life. The first one was, of course, with my husband, and to tell him that we need to do a plan without me, and how will his life and the life of my son look without me in it. And I shared with him all the things that I wanted to teach him, all the vision that I had of how he becomes a man, and how he can help me to be more at ease going to the surgery if he takes these things in account, and that he has to be strong, and many things that we spoke. And he was really, as always, he has been always really good saying the things that works for me, and he supported me, and he told me, you're a strong woman, you have always been, and you will go past this. But after that talk, I went with my partners, and specifically with Gustavo, who was closer to me. Gustavo was like my mentor for many, many years. And so now we were partners, and I had to say to him, we need to make a plan for the company and for everyone if I'm not here. At that time, I was the CEO, so most of the responsibilities came through me. And I had an awesome team, but I still at that time didn't took the job of separating or being able to being taken out of the business and for the business to keep on. And so, and he told me, you will get through this. Let's not talk about this. And I was, no, this is important because this is also my legacy. This is a thing for my kid to that I have built for him also. So I took a page and we started dribbling a plan. And I also told him we had to make a plan, not only supposing that I will not get out. Suppose I get out of the ER, but what happens if they told me that you have to take these sessions of chemotherapy and radiation, because we didn't know at the time what was going on. And I cannot have the same energy to come back. What happens then? We need to make a plan. And he did. And my other partners also did. And I was very thankful for that because I was able to go and take care of this illness and being calm that everything was taken care of. They even make a fund for medical expenses for anything that could happen. And I remember Gustavo saying, if you need a doctor, because we were on the health industry, we can talk to somebody, so he was great. And one of the things that he made, very near here, we are at Chipinque, there is a place where you can go and make a prayer on a ribbon. You make a knot and you left it there. And when it comes through, you come back and you, with a white ribbon, you say your thanks to the Virgin. And so I told him that I was very scared because I cannot control what was happening. And I was a woman that I always had some kind of control on something. And for the first time, I thought that I couldn't control not even myself. And so I wrote in that ribbon, I wish not to have fear. And I remember that he told me, why didn't write, I wish to be in good health? Or no, because the thing that was stopping me was fear. So that was my wish. And if anything would happen, I will go through that. And I talked to God there. It's very beautiful. It's similar to here. And I talked to God and I told him, give me a fight, I can fight. So let me out of the OR, because in the OR, I will only go there and lay down and the doctor will do all the stuff. So when I go out of there, give me a fight, I can fight, and I will fight it and I will get through it. So just give me the opportunity to fight. And and everything went well, thank God. But for me, fear, learning about fear and what it can do to stop you and how you can use it to your advantage was the biggest takeaway of this experience. And also that you really live through the relationships that you built. So that philosophy, I've worked that philosophy before in business, but for me now is even more important than before, because now I understand that relationships are everything, and that relationships or the relationships that you build are the things that can change the outcome of how you feel during the experience. I know there are many things we cannot change, and that was one that I couldn't change just by thinking, but I could control how I feel on it and how I live that and what I could take out from that. So yeah, fear is powerful, but it can be a tool that works for you instead of working against you.
Beautiful. So there have been so many incredible lessons for people to draw on, our audience, people listening, etc., from this conversation. But if there were to be one that the stereotypical advice, maybe if you were to teach yourself something 15 years ago, or share that one piece of advice with the audience that are, entrepreneurs in their own way, what would that be?
The best lesson I can give out is to be truthful to yourself. And it's sometimes the hardest thing to be honest with you, to talk to yourself and say, hey, I can't do this, or I need help, or maybe I should stop, or accepting that sometimes you have doubts and you feel unable and you feel that you don't have the capacity or the knowledge, or I don't know, that's something that sometimes you have it, but you only doubt it. But be true to yourself, and then talk more kindly to yourself, because sometimes we are very hard on ourselves, and the voice that you hear in your mind is your voice. So you have to be kind with you when you talk with yourself. But mostly when you are building something and you have a lot of pressure, sometimes you feel blocked, or you feel like you don't have a way out, or you don't know how to get through the thing that is in front of you. Sometimes it's so near that you can look and you don't see past it. If you're true to yourself, you can understand that you are limited, that you don't know it all, and that is okay. And then when you accept that, you can look for the solutions from that. And a tip that I can give out is writing has worked with me a lot. Of course, talking, if you're more of a talkative person, talk with someone. But sometimes you don't have anyone around you, or there is something that you cannot share because you don't even understand what you're feeling or what you're thinking. So taking a pen, writing it out, sometimes is all you need to put that mess in place. And for me, it also worked to have a diary where you write everything that you can thank for in that day. And sometimes even in the hardest of days, or in the days that seems to be the ugliest of days, you can find something to be thankful for. Even the lesson that you learned that day, maybe not to do that thing again, or maybe to ask for help next time, but you can find something to be thankful. Maybe the meal that you had, or maybe the friend that you could talk with, or even the thing that you find inside you to be able to pass that. So that helped me a lot. And the idea is that at the end of the day, you go to that diary and you write something, and it helps. But yeah, to keep true to yourself. And in that way, the thing that you are, which everyone is looking for, will shine. And you will feel comfortable with that, because of course being different or being is sometimes scary, but it can lead you to very amazing things. And for me, that it has worked.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for this conversation. Thank you for coming all the way up here. Thank you for sharing your experience and your perspectives and your advice. And I really appreciated this. Thank you.
No, thank you. I also appreciate this. I am very thankful to be part of this series with many other founders that I admire also. And it was a very good symbol to go to the mountain, to the top. It was really nice, actually. So happy to be here and hope to talk again.
We sure will. Absolutely.
Thank you.